If clicking update in WordPress makes you nervous, you're not alone. For a lot of people, updating WordPress feels risky. One click and suddenly the site is broken, blank, or not loading at all. So they stop updating. And that's actually the most dangerous thing you can do. In this video, I'm going to show you how to update WordPress safely so you don't break your site and you don't panic every time updates appear. I'll show you what to do before you update, the exact order to update things, and how to protect yourself if something goes wrong. I'll be doing this right on my screen, step by step, so you can follow along. Once you see this, updates won't feel scary anymore. They'll just feel normal. All right, let's jump in. Okay, so right now, I'm logged in to the back end of my website. And it's not the production website. It's just a what I would call a staging website. It's one that I can go in and play with and test plugins and on my site before I actually make any changes or actually push them to live. I recommend this for anyone that has a website. If you can do it, have one like a staging site that you can play with changes before you push them, or you install a plugin, or if you do anything with your site, any kind of updates with your site. Those come in handy because you can test everything out before you push it to your live your live website. All right, so we're on the back end, and the first thing I want to draw your attention to is what I talked about earlier, is this little red dot up here. If you see my mouse, this little red dot here. I'm actually logged into WordPress. I'm looking at the dashboard. This is the first screen you'll see when you log in to your back end. And those little red dots, that's what everybody's afraid of, right? They don't want to click on these on this update button and update their site. But in this video, I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm showing you how to update WordPress, but I'm also going to show you how to update plugins. So the first thing we're going to do, and the most important thing you want to do before you update WordPress, is you want to make a backup copy of your site. So let's do this. I'm going to go to the plugin page here. I don't have, you're probably going to laugh at me when you see all these plugins because there's a bunch of them here. And you can see a bunch of them, neat. They have these little yellow bars here that are telling me I need to update this plugin. So what I'm going to do first, though, is I'm going to download a plugin called Updraft Plus, and it's a backup plugin to back up your site. So let's go under Add Plugin up here at the top, this little button, and then I'm just going to type here in the search bar. I'm going to type in Updraft Plus. And it should start to come up once you start typing in. So you see, I typed in Updraft here, and it brought up, different plugins that meet that criteria. But the one we're going to install is this first one here. It's called Updraft Plus, WP Backup and Migration Plugin. So let's click on that one. And we're going to, it gives you some information about the plugin. You can read through this if you want to. I'm not going to do it right now. But you see down here at the bottom, there's a button that says Install Now. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And you see that little round circle, it's installed. So now you see the button change to Activate. So I'm going to go ahead and click Activate. And then the first thing you'll see is that little message that says Welcome to Updraft Plus. All right. So I'm going to press this little button where it says Press to Start. So the first thing it's going to do is take you to the settings page of this plugin to set it up for your site so you can start running a backup. So what I'm going to do first, now there's different places you can put your backup. I'm going to back it up, and then I'm going to download the files to my PC. So I'm going to show you that. That's a method we're going to do today. There's other methods you can do, but this is the most common way to make a backup and download it before you make any changes to your site, because you don't want your site to break. So sometimes you can install a plugin, sometimes you can install a theme, and lo and behold, something will not talk to each other, and your site will break, and you'll get that white screen of death. But if you made this backup, and downloaded it, to your PC or wherever you want to download it to, then you'll have that backup copy that you can go in here and you can restore your site. So that's what we're going to do first. So let's go in here and let's set it up. We're going to say, right now there's nothing scheduled, but what we're going to do is we're going to click on this little blue button. See, this walks you through. It's pretty easy to use. This is a very popular plugin, and it's probably the most popular or the most common backup plugin out there. So it's very user friendly. So it takes you through like a little guided tour, and that's what these little pop-up boxes are. So and it tells you exactly what you need to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and click backup now, and it's going to ask you what type of backup you want to make. So there's a couple of backups you can make. You can include your database in the backup. That's the first option. Or you can include your files in the backup. Some people will just back up the database when they use this plugin. Some people will just back up the files. Some people will do both. We're going to do both today because I don't have a backup copy right now of this site that I can use. So we're going to back up both. So they're already marked for you. And then once you make those selections, just come down here to the bottom of that screen. You'll see a button that says Backup Now. So we're going to click on that, and it's going to, again, it's taking you through like a little tutorial. It's saying, congratulations, your backup is running. I want to close this button here, and you can see it's finished already. Now this site wasn't, this was a full-blown site. It is a copy of my main site, but without being, it may have different stuff on it because I've got it on a staging server. I don't have it together with my main site. So you see down at the bottom, once you do that, you scroll down and you'll see under existing backups, it says you got one. So this is a full backup. So what we're going to do now, this one is on your server. This one is, it looks like it's on your website, but it's just showing information here. This is actually saved on your server that your website is hosted on. And so you could leave it like this, and you could, if you needed the backup, you'd have to go to your server. You'd have to go to the back end, log into your server, pull it from there. That's a little bit more difficult than what I'm going to show you here. What I'm going to show you here is I'm going to show you how to download it to your PC. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on one of these files. We have to click on each one of these buttons because what it's going to do is it's going to right now it's saying download the database, right? So now we're going to click on download to your computer. Okay. So now we have that. And now we're going to click on plugins. And when you do that, you can see you can download to your computer. And I don't know if you can see it's real fast up here in the browser, but it's downloading really fast and it's popping it up in this little screen here. So you see they're both up here in this download history of the browser. What this is doing is putting it to a download folder on your PC. So I'll show you in a minute where that's at. So now we don't have to download the theme, but I'm going to download all the files, right? So we're going to download themes. As you can see, it's downloading that. It's getting that ready, and it says download to your computer. I'm going to go ahead and click that button. So it's downloading that file, and then we're going to do uploads. All right, and now you can see I have the option to download that to my PC. So I've downloaded those files. So now I've got a copy, basically, of my website if something goes wrong. All right, so next what we're going to do, that's all we really need to do for this. There's other options. I'm going to do a video in the future. I'm going to make a video on Updraft Plus because there is a lot of features here that you can use. But I'm not going to go into all that today. The main purpose today is just to show you how to back up your site and get ready to update it. So now we backed up all of our site files. So if we had to, we could restore it by just bringing those files back in and hitting restore, and that would restore the site back to its original before we made any changes. And this is important because now depending on where you're hosted, your website's hosted on a server somewhere, right? And you're paying for a hosting plan. And a lot of hosting companies will include a daily backup in with your plan. But sometimes these daily backups are done like early in the morning, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's low traffic. They consider that low traffic time. But that won't help us if we break our site right now. If something happens to break our site, that backup copy won't help us, because that's going to put us back to that 2:30 in the morning or whatever. And we could have made some changes today. So we want to put it back to the state that it was before we made the changes. That's why we use this plugin, and that's why we download it to our PC. All right, so that's done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to the dashboard up here, this dashboard menu button, and you see there's a section that says updates. Okay, I'm going to click on updates. And typically what you want to do is if there's updates to install, you want to do the plugins first. So I'm going to go through the list here, and you see down here at the bottom, it says I've got 10 plugins, and they're ready to be updated. Now, what I recommend, and what a lot of people will recommend, you could hit this button right here that says select all. But if you do that, it's going to go through and download them all at once. And if you do that and your site breaks, then you won't know which plugin caused the problem. So what we're going to do for this video is we're going to unselect that, and we're going to install one at a time. So first off, we're going to install the first one. I have 10 plugins on here, and I haven't, this is, like I said, this is a staging site, so I haven't updated the software in a little while, and I did that on purpose because I knew I was going to make this video. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and click on the first one, and as you click on it, you can click on this button, Update Plugins. Now, if you scroll down, you'll see there's also an update plugin here at the bottom, so you can do it either way. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and do this first one. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the button to update the plugin. And you'll see this little thing, it's going to start updating here in a second, and it'll tell you when it's done. So it's already done. So now I'm going to go back to this updates page. Let's see. Wait, it looks like it didn't update. Let's go back and see what happened here. I could have sworn it did. Let's hit refresh just in case it was cached. I don't know. It looks like it didn't do it. So let's try it again. Let's go ahead and click this button again, and let's hit update and see what it does. It says the update process started. This process may take a while on some hosts. So it says it's been completed. All right. So let's go back to the plugins page, and you see here it's been updated. This little bar has went away. Now you can also update it from here. Sometimes I'll do that. But what you want to do next before you update another plugin is you want to make sure it didn't break your site. So right now you're in the back end. If you go up here to this little menu option where it has your website name, if you click on that, that's going to bring you to the front end. And you just want to make sure everything's loading fine on the site after you update it. I usually click a couple of menu items just to make sure it's going to the right place, right? So now I'm going to click on the same button again. It's going to take me back to the back end, and I'm going to go back to updates, and I'm going to go down and do the next one. So let's do that. Let's select it. Let's hit update plugins, and let's give it a second. It should come back on the screen and say it's done. It says all updates have been completed. All right, so let's go back to the front end. Make sure we didn't break our site. Looks like it's fine. I'm not going to, just to save time, I'm not going to click through the menu items up here, but you can see it's working. I'm going to go back to the back end here. I'm going to click on updates again, and then it's going to have my next one in line. So I'm going to go ahead and click this one, update, and you see now it'll come back and tell you when it's done. So now I'm going to go back to the front end again, just to make sure the site's still loading. Then I'm going to go back to the back end, and then I'm going to go back to the update section up here, and you can see now it's coming down to the next one. So I'm going to update a couple at a time. So I'm going to pick two. So I'm going to pick the next two, just to show you that we can do more than one. Let's just go ahead and do three. You definitely don't want to do them all at once, because again, if something, the best method, if you're worried, if you're concerned about one of them breaking your site, then you just do one at a time. That way you know which one broke the site. But I'm going to go ahead. These plugins that I have installed are pretty, they're pretty well known. I have a lot of confidence that they're not going to break my site. So I'm going to go ahead and I clicked on three. I'm going to go ahead and hit the button again to update them. And now you'll see the screen will be a little bit different. It's going to show all three plugins as they get updated. So see, it's going through its process, and it's showing that all three of the plugins have been done. So now we're going to go back to the front end, make sure it still loads. It's still fine. We're going to go back to the back end, go back to the updates, and you can see your number goes down as you update the plugin. So now I started with 12. Now I've only got 7 to update. And if you see this other button down here under plugins, that just means there's different things it's updating. You could be updating themes, you could be updating plugins, or whatever. But now it says I've got 4 plugins left to update. That's what the little red dot with the 4 stands for. But I like to go up here to where the update section is, and do it and go from there. So now I'm back to this other screen. I'm going to get a little bit more confident now, and I'm going to go ahead and update all of them at once. So I've only got 4 left. And these are, like I said, these are pretty well-known plugins. I don't anticipate anything going wrong. But if it does, I can now since I have my backup, I can always restore my site. So I'm going to go ahead and say update plugins. And now you'll see there'll be 4 lines on the screen, because it's going to show all 4 plugins that it updated. So see, now it says that they're all done. Here at the bottom it says all updates have been completed. So now I'm going to go back to the front end just to check, make sure it's still loading. And you see it's still loading. And this time I'm going to check my my services page. I'm just going to check another menu items here to see if it loads the page. And you see it's loading them pretty quick. Now I'm going to go back to the back end. Now I've got 4 updates left. So now I'm going to go back into updates and see what's left, because I know I did all my plugins. So let's see what I got. So now I've got, under themes, I've got these 3 themes that need to be updated. And you see one of them says Generate Press. And we'll talk about Generate Press in a later video. But that's definitely typically the theme that I use on all my websites, because it's just a really fast theme. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just hit select all again. And I'm going to go update themes here, this button here, or I can do it from the top, either one. I'm going to do it here. So now we're going to go through and wait for it to update these 3 themes that were listed. So see, they're all done. Now I'm going to go back to the front end by clicking up here again, and you see my site is still loading. There's no problems. I'm going to go back to the back end and see what's left. Then we'll go back under updates. Now, actually this site is set to automatically do WordPress for me. So it's not showing that I need to update, but I'm going to show you something that you can do just to check. So you see here, it says I have the latest version of WordPress, but there's an option here to reinstall it. All right. So I know my site's working. I'm going to go ahead and click this button to reinstall, because I want to show you what it's going to do. It's thinking. And see, now you see, once it gets installed, it comes to like a splash screen, a main screen, and it gives you some information about what's new. And so you can scroll down, and typically you'll see this every time there's an update. The WordPress platform gets updates from time to time. Sometimes they're bug fixes, but they can also just be enhancements, new features. You don't have to update to the latest version right away when it first comes out. You can wait a week to see if there's any problems with it. But generally speaking, I can't think of any time where I've had any problems updating WordPress. So I usually just go ahead and do it as soon as possible. Because again, it could include security patches. It could include bug fixes. Usually you want the latest version, because that's your optimal use of WordPress if you have the latest version. Because they do add new features all the time. So This is what you see. Sometimes I'll scroll down to see what they've added, and you can see this is some of the features they're highlighting that they've added. Again, I'm not going to go into these. I'll go into these in another video. But we're on version 6.9, right? So now I've updated everything that needs to be updated. Now, one thing we didn't do is once we update, and now I'm going to go back to the front end just to make sure it loads okay. And you see everything's loading fine. I'm going to go to my services page, it's loading. Go to my blog page, it's loading. My WP Care package page, you see everything here is loading fine. So everything looks good. I'm going back to the back end. So for all intents and purposes, I'm done. And you see the site did not break. It's still loading. And so I successfully updated WordPress to the latest version of 6.9, but I also installed those plugins for you. And again, if I go back to the plugins page, you can see now on this main page, there's no yellow bars. They're all the plugins that are active that needed to be updated are updated. Now I have a few plugins on here that I don't have active, and that's why they're in white as opposed to blue. But everything in blue, basically even the ones that are not in blue can be updated. But sometimes I remove plugins, and sometimes I add plugins. But for this demonstration, we're going to keep everything we got. And you see everything got updated and everything's going fine. So that's how you update WordPress without breaking your site. Here's the big takeaway. Updates aren't dangerous. Unprepared updates are. When you back up first and update the right way, this stops being stressful. It just becomes maintenance. Now, if you're thinking, I really don't want to deal with this every time, that's totally fair. If you want a second set of eyes on your site, check the link in the description for a free WordPress checkup. Or drop a question in the comments. I read them all, and I'm happy to help. If this video saved you time or stress, hit like. Subscribe for more WordPress tips that actually make sense. And let me know in the comments, what WordPress issue should I cover next? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.